My fiancée had chosen the Celestial, the most opulent hotel in the city, for our wedding. But after a bachelorette party, drunk and confused, she'd taken the wrong key card. When she woke up the next morning, the man in her bed was her first love. The same man she had brutally cut off years ago, forcing him into a strategic marriage with another family, a wedding that was supposed to have taken place last night in this very hotel. Now, he was here, begging for my forgiveness. It was me, Leo Vance pleaded, trying to fall on his sword. I couldn't forget what we had. I couldn't control myself. Sophia was drunk. She thought I was you. Hit me, curse me out, do whatever you want, but please don't blame her. I watched him, my face a mask of indifference. Fine, then I'll have you charged with sexual assault. The moment I pulled out my smartphone, Leo Vance crumpled to the floor. From the shadows, my fiancée, Sophia Reed, rushed out. See, if I wanted to destroy them, it would be pathetically easy. Leo's eyes were desperate, his voice sincere. He was subconsciously twisting the wedding band on his ring finger, a deliberate gesture meant for me to see. When I focused on the insignia carved into the ring, my pupils constricted. Mr. Thorne, what are you talking about? It wasn't assault. My gaze was fixed on the ring. You just said Sophia wasn't a willing participant, that you forced yourself on a woman who was not consenting. What is that if not sexual assault? I asked, my voice dangerously low. Or are you saying you can sleep with my fiancée the night before my wedding, offer a flimsy excuse, and walk away? But, I continued, a cruel edge to my voice. Since you were her first love, I'll show some courtesy. After you're incarcerated, I'll have someone look after your parents. I wouldn't want them to suffer in their old age. Leo shook his head violently. No, that's not what I meant. He dropped to his knees in front of me. Please, Mr. Thorne, have mercy. Let me go. Sophia and I had a past, but it's over. Last night was just a terrible mistake. I swear to you, she only wants to marry you. She was completely ruthless when she broke up with me. She was just too drunk last night. That's how we ended up. He swallowed hard. You can beat me, do whatever you want, just don't call the police. It would ruin my life. I let out a short, sharp laugh. Even if Sophia was drunk, you could have called the front desk. You could have taken her to a hospital. You could have called the emergency contact on her phone. But you did none of that. You took full advantage, and now you want to play the gentleman. Should I pull the security footage from the hallway? Should we see just how drunk Sophia really was? In 4 hours, Sophia and I were scheduled to be married. And after something like this, they thought they could just smooth it over. Impossible. My expression hardened. I took out my phone and called the hotel manager. I need all security footage from the top floor from 9 p.m. last night until this morning. Copy it and save it. The police might need it. Leo flinched, glancing helplessly over his shoulder. Before the manager on the other end could even reply, Sophia's voice cut through the air. Harrison, what do you think you're doing? Sophia ran over, first pulling the kneeling Leo to his feet. Only then did she turn to me, her face etched with disapproval. Why would you call the police? Leo, didn't he make it clear enough? Yesterday was just an accident. Seeing my cold, unyielding expression, her tone softened slightly. Today is our wedding day. There's no need to delay everything over this. Once the police are here, it will throw off the entire schedule. Have you forgotten? This date was incredibly difficult to book. She took 2 steps closer, lowering her voice. I broke up with him so suddenly back then, it destroyed him for a long time. The Vance family's fortune has been dwindling year after year, and his parents forced him into an arranged marriage. Turns out, his bride never even showed up yesterday. His luck is already terrible, she pleaded. Do you really have to destroy him completely to be satisfied? Besides, you know exactly why I had to cut things off with him so abruptly. Don't pretend you don't. Her voice dropped to a whisper. We owe him this. I stared at the woman before me, speaking as if this was all perfectly reasonable. I never imagined she could so brazenly lay the blame at my feet. There are times when you're so speechless, all you can do is laugh. Sophia, I said slowly, this is what you really think, isn't it? Her expression froze, a flicker of regret in her eyes. Harrison, we're all adults here. Why can't you just let this go? Our wedding is in a few hours. I need to get to hair and makeup. To this moment, she actually believed I would pretend nothing had happened and marry her. Even if she wasn't disgusted, I was. Sophia, the ceremony hasn't started. This engagement has always been on my terms. Wouldn't you agree? She stared at me, stunned, and stammered. What do you mean? Didn't you move heaven and earth to marry me? She grabbed my sleeve. I know you're angry about this, but it already happened. Are you worried I'll run off with Leo? I promise you I won't. Okay? The wedding will go on as planned. Her eyes shifted. But you have to do one thing for me. That Hudson Yards development project. Can you let Leo manage it? This only happened because I was drunk and went to the wrong room. It's really not his fault. Just think of it as helping out a friend, can't you? A cold laugh escaped my lips, her audacity stinging me. A friend. I repeated the word as if it were the punchline to a cosmic joke. I enunciated every syllable, my words like shards of ice. Sophia, you've really opened my eyes today. You get drunk, you sleep with him the night before our wedding, and now you want to compensate him? This is a new one for me. A person gets taken advantage of while they're incoherent, and their first instinct is to throw money at the perpetrator. Is he going to die without you? Or are you just fundamentally that cheap? And what do you take me for? I snarled. A garbage disposal? Sophia's face went white, her lips trembling with rage. You shut up, she shrieked, like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Harrison, what right do you have to humiliate me like this? Do you think you're some kind of saint? Who was it that used his power to pressure my father, forcing my family to hand me over to you like a piece of merchandise? And who was it, she spat, who forced me to stand in front of the media and announce that I was cutting ties with the parents who raised me? You control who I see. You interfere with my friendships. You're not marrying me. You're just putting another trophy in your gilded cage. The hatred in her eyes was thick and suffocating. So what right do you have to stand there with a high and mighty look on your face and call me cheap? What gave you the right? Tears streamed down her face. I stared in shock at the woman before me. The woman I had spent 10 years protecting with every tool at my disposal. And this is what she thought of me. My expression darkened. Just then, my parents, arriving for the wedding, walked in. Seeing the tense standoff, my mother stepped forward with a smile, trying to smooth things over. What's going on here? The wedding is in 3 hours. Why is everyone just standing around? I swallowed the words I was about to say and took a deep breath. My voice was low and resolute. Mom, please do me a favor and notify everyone. Today's wedding is canceled. My mother's eyes widened. She looked from me to Sophia, and then her gaze fell on Leo Vance. Her expression turned to ice. What happened? I didn't want to explain. I just shook my head. My mother patted my shoulder. Fine. If you don't want to get married today, then you don't have to. I'll go inform everyone right now. The wedding is off. Her last sentence was overheard by Sophia's parents, who were just arriving. Mr. Reed strode over, saw Leo, and without a word, slapped Sophia hard across the face. Sophia stared at her father in shock. My own brow furrowed. I hadn't sent them an invitation. It seems Sophia had given them one in secret. Fine. People have to taste the bitter fruit of their own actions before they can learn. Sophia clutched her cheek, tears welling in her eyes as she stared at her father. As my father, shouldn't you be defending me? She demanded. Why did you hit me? It was Harrison who used his power to steal me away. Slap. A second backhand struck her face. Apologize to Mr. Thorne right now. Mr. Reed roared. You're about to be married, and you're still tangled up with this man, and you think you're in the right. I raised an eyebrow and added with a smile. Oh, it wasn't just a meeting. They spent the night together. In my hotel. My parents and the Reeds' expressions changed dramatically. My parents were furious. Sophia's parents were terrified. Mr. Reed's current wife, her stepmother, pointed a finger at Sophia and began to scream. You shameless tramp. Are you that desperate for a man you can't even wait one night? We should have broken your legs while you were getting ready for this wedding. Let's see you go out and seduce men then. As she spoke, she lunged forward and slapped Sophia several more times. The two of them had beaten Sophia into a stunned silence. In her world, apart from being an autocrat about her marriage, her father had always been kind. Her stepmother had always been so charmingly diplomatic, they were like sisters. But now that the facade had cracked, the reality was this ugly. Suddenly, Sophia glared at me with venom. It was you, wasn't it? You use your money to pressure them. That's why they're treating me like this. They're afraid of your power, right? A small smile played on my lips. I didn't tell her the truth. I was suddenly discovering that it was far more interesting to let her shatter her own delusions. She wanted to compensate Leo Vance? Fine, let her. Only by experiencing it firsthand would she understand what it feels like to fall from the clouds into the abyss. Sophia's stepmother plastered on a smile and sidled up to my mother. This little bitch is easy to break. Since Harrison likes her so much, he can just take her home and train her. If he doesn't have the heart for it, I can do it for him and send her over when she's ready. Don't cancel the wedding, she begged. Forget friends and family. So many important people are here. This would be terrible for both our families' reputations. Harrison's company is preparing for its IPO, the woman continued, her face a picture of sycophantic pleading. If there's a scandal over the wedding now, what will happen to the stock price? She kept signaling frantically to Mr. Reed. He caught on and chimed in. That's right. Once this girl marries into the Thorne family, she belongs to you, even in death. We'll never ask a single question. You have our word, in-laws. My mother raised a hand, cutting him off. Don't call me that. The marriage hasn't happened. As for the reputation and IPO you're so concerned about, that's pocket change to us. Besides, she added, her voice dripping with cold authority, who would dare to gossip about the Thorne family? The two of them froze, nodding obsequiously, not daring to look up. Watching her father and stepmother's behavior, Sophia was utterly bewildered. She couldn't comprehend how, in a single night, her entire world had been turned upside down. The air in the grand lobby was thick with tension. The silence was broken by the sharp ring of a phone. It was the hotel manager. I answered, putting it on speaker. Mr. Thorne, I've backed up yesterday's security footage. It's ready for the police whenever they need it. The manager's voice was crisp and professional. Also, I've looked into the matter of the front desk giving out the wrong key card. Ms. Reed never once approached the front desk at any point after dinner last night. I glanced at Sophia. The woman who had just been righteously accusing me moments ago now frantically avoided my gaze, nervously picking at her fingers. Her parents looked like they wanted the floor to swallow them whole. Harrison, I can explain. Don't bother. I interrupted, hanging up the phone. My eyes swept over the pair, devoid of any emotion. I have things to do. The rest of you can see yourselves out. I was about to turn away when Sophia grabbed my arm tightly. Harrison, the invitations have been sent. All our guests are about to arrive. Do you want the Thorne and Reed families to become the laughingstock of the entire city? Leo Vance was panicking now, too. Mr. Thorne, this was all my fault. It has nothing to do with Sophia. An arranged marriage of this level isn't a child's game. Nothing to do with her? I stared at Sophia's face. When the two of you were in bed together, did you give a damn about the Thorne and Reed family's reputation then? Sophia, the fact that I haven't announced your sordid affair to the entire wedding party is the last shred of dignity I'm giving you. You'd be wise not to push your luck. I turned to my father. Dad, canceling this wedding isn't an impulsive decision. I will take full responsibility for my actions. The engagement is off, I said firmly, and I will protect the Thorne family's honor. My father nodded. It's your decision. The Thorne family will always have your back. His gaze drifted, then settled on Mr. Reed with an unspoken, immense pressure. Your mother is right. Anyone or anything that poses a potential threat to this family, I will eliminate for you. If the Thorne family has come this far, and you can't even decide your own marriage, then we have failed as parents. That brief glance was enough to leave Mr. Reed drenched in a cold sweat. Guests had already started to arrive. Seeing that my family was resolute, Mr. Reed was thrown into a full-blown panic. Harrison, do you remember what you promised me when you were trying to marry my daughter? All six of us turned our attention to me. I looked down silent. I knew back then that Sophia's parents didn't genuinely care for her. I had allowed her to see Leo because their families were of a similar social standing. But the younger generation of the Vance family was incompetent, and their influence was fading. Mr. Reed, ever the opportunist, saw this and quickly forced Sophia to break up with Leo. When I heard the news, I showed up at his door with $30 million, the absolute most I could liquidate at the time. One part was for an engagement to Sophia. The other was to buy a contract severing her ties to them. But I never expected that Sophia, after years of their psychological manipulation, would secretly keep sending the money. Fortunately, because of my influence, the Reeds did everything to please her, treating her better and better. I was happy to let her be happy. If money could buy her joy, I had plenty of it. I never imagined I had spoiled her rotten. She couldn't tell good from evil, right from wrong. A person like that had no place in my family. Meeting Mr. Reed's desperate gaze, I spoke slowly. All prior agreements are null and void. As of today, Thorne Industries will terminate all partnerships with the Reed Corporation. As Mr. Reed let out a cry of disbelief, I turned to leave, only to be blocked by a swarm of reporters. Mr. Thorne, for something like this to happen on your wedding day, can you tell us how you're feeling? Mr. Thorne, there are rumors that Ms. Reed had a private rendezvous with her ex, Mr. Leo Vance, the night before the wedding. Is this true? Will your partnership with the Reed Corporation continue? Mr. Thorne, with the wedding turning into a farce, are there deeper business conflicts at play? Mr. Thorne, if Thorne Industries fails to go public this year, what is your contingency plan? They were aggressive, clearly well prepared. A wrong answer would have serious consequences. I glanced back at the four of them. Someone had leaked this to the media, trying to block my escape route with the pressure of public opinion. These were all top-tier financial reporters in the country, highly influential. One misstep, and my company would suffer. Just as I was hesitating, a Rolls-Royce glided to a halt. From the back seat emerged a woman with striking features and a commanding presence. The reporters parted for her automatically. She walked towards me, her gait confident and graceful, dressed in a couture piece straight off the latest runway. The necklace she wore was from last year's auction, the one Sophia had begged me for, which was ultimately bought by a mysterious bidder for $7 million more. It seemed the mysterious bidder was the woman standing before me. As I pondered her reason for being here, a delicate, pale hand was extended to me. "I hear your wedding is missing a bride," she said, her voice soft but clear enough to cut through the surrounding chaos. "What do you think of me?" Victoria Sterling. All cameras swiveled to her instantly. She looked at no one but me, her lips curved in the faintest of smiles, her hands still outstretched. I didn't respond immediately, though I already had a good idea of who she was. I reached out and took her hand. "Ms. Sterling, a pleasure." She raised an eyebrow, retracting her hand after a brief touch. "Mr. Thorne, your wedding decorations are quite impressive." I understood her hidden meaning, and my brow furrowed slightly. The reporters, catching on, practically shoved their microphones in her face. "Ms. Sterling, are you here representing the Sterling Group? What is your relationship with Mr. Thorne?" "Ms. Sterling, are you here to crash the wedding? Have you and Mr. Thorne known each other for some time?" Victoria ignored them completely, turning back to me. "This outfit isn't quite right for the occasion. Would you mind helping me find a dress, Mr. Thorne?" I instantly understood her play and went along with it. "My oversight. We have a dressing suite upstairs." She linked her arm through mine with practiced ease, and we moved straight through the crowd. Sophia watched us, her face a mask of disbelief. "Harrison, where are you going? What is going on?" She tried to rush forward, but was silently intercepted by two black-suited bodyguards who had appeared from nowhere. Leo was also kept at a distance, his face a mixture of shock and confusion. The situation had spiraled far beyond his control. The elevator doors closed, shutting out the chaos. The second they did, she dropped my arm, the manufactured warmth vanishing completely. "Harrison Thorne, Victoria Sterling." This was our formal introduction. "That little drama downstairs," she said coolly. "I can help you turn it into a legendary business maneuver. Your terms. My grandfather is pressuring me to get married. I need a temporary fiancé who is presentable. The term is 6 months. After that, the engagement is off, and a strategic partnership between Sterling and Thorne proceeds as planned." I looked at her. "Why me? Why now?" "You're smart enough and clear-headed enough to know how to make the most advantageous choice in a crisis," she answered with unnerving calm. "Besides, you're in desperate need of an escape route right now, aren't you?" I frowned, trying to piece everything together, when a thought struck me. "You are Leo Vance's fiancé." The moment I said it, her eyes widened. "What? Of course not. Why would you think that?" I briefly explained what had happened between Leo and Sophia last night. She scoffed. "Mr. Thorne, you're too close to the situation to see clearly. You actually believe that story? That he would choose to have his wedding in the same hotel as you? Setting aside what kind of resources that would require, let's just say he really was getting married. Were his guests? The reception? Surely he can't host a wedding all by himself." My face darkened instantly. These were details I had refused to let myself consider. Sophia had been lying to me from the very beginning. I nodded. "Ms. Sterling, your terms are acceptable." She paused for a moment, then a genuine smile broke through. "Good. I like a man who doesn't waste time." She stood up straight. "Well then, Mr. Thorne, shall we pick out a dress for your new fiancé?" Half an hour later, we reappeared in the banquet hall. I had changed into a different suit, and she was wearing a simple, elegant white satin gown. Everything related to Sophia had been removed, the space now filled with fresh flowers. When Victoria and I entered, the room erupted in a collective gasp, followed by an even more frantic barrage of camera flashes. My parents stood calmly near the main stage, a hint of concern in their eyes. I gave them a subtle look to reassure them. My mother gave Victoria a slight, approving nod. She was clearly pleased with this new daughter-in-law. On the other side, Mr. and Mrs. Reed were in a state of utter panic. The color drained from Mr. Reed's face as he stumbled toward us. "Mr. Thorne, this can't be. Our Sophia is the bride. The invitations were sent. How can our family ever show its face in public again?" Mrs. Reed clung to his arm, putting on a heart-wrenching performance. "Mr. Thorne, please, don't play this kind of joke. Whatever Sophia did wrong, we'll make her apologize, make her change. You can't just. This wedding can't be called off, she wailed. With a single glance from Victoria, the two bodyguards stepped forward, impassively blocking Sophia's parents. Let go of me. What do you think you're doing? Mister, Reed roared, struggling against their grip. Harrison Thorne, how could you do this to our family? Have you forgotten how you begged me to let you marry Sophia? Mrs. Reed was crying hysterically. In-laws, please say something. A wedding isn't a game. You can't do this. Their protests were silenced as the bodyguards forcibly removed them from the hall. In the center of the room, Sophia stared at me, dumbfounded. Her gaze was locked on my arm, linked with Victoria's. Her face was deathly pale, her body trembling almost imperceptibly. She watched her parents being dragged away, watched a strange woman take the place that was meant for her, watched the familiar yet alien surroundings. The shock in her eyes slowly gave way to panic. Harrison, her voice trembled as she walked toward me, step by step, ignoring everyone else's stares. You, tell me, this isn't real, right? You're just angry with me. You're trying to get back at me, aren't you? She tried to force a smile, but looked more painful than a grimace. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I'll never see him again, I promise. Please don't scare me like this. I looked at her, my expression calm, my eyes empty. Harrison, say something. Her voice cracked with tears. After all our years together, just because of one mistake, one night, you're going to throw it all away? You're going to find some random woman just to humiliate me? She pointed a shaking finger at Victoria. I took a step forward, shielding Victoria slightly. Ms. Reed, I suggest you compose yourself. Tears streamed down her face, her expression turning to one of pure mockery. Compose myself? You want me to compose myself? When you spent all those years chasing me, when you didn't hesitate to force my breakup with Leo, did you ever think about my composure then? Victoria raised an eyebrow, a flicker of amusement in her eyes, as if to say, well, mister. Thorne has a predatory side. I dropped my gaze, a hot flush creeping up my neck. When I looked up again, my eyes were void of emotion. Sophia, it's true I pursued you. I loved you. And in a moment of impulse, I was willing to do anything to protect you. But I was wrong. I thought my devotion would eventually win you over, but I underestimated the love between you and Mr. Vance. Since that's the case, I'll let you go. From now on, we go our separate ways. Her eyes widened as tears fell like broken pearls. To you, I was just an impulse. I was speechless. After everything I'd said, her takeaway was whether or not I was impulsive. But it didn't matter anymore. After 10 years of impulse, it was time to be rational. Today's main event was Victoria Sterling. Sophia, between you and me, it ends here. Please leave. Now. She shook her head, tears rolling down her cheeks. How could you? How could you not want me anymore? You love me so much. I cut her off, my tone flat. Today is a happy occasion. I prefer not to make things ugly. If you leave now, you can keep the last shred of your dignity. She looked at me blankly, as if she didn't understand. If you continue to make a scene, I said, my voice dropping to a deadly quiet, everything that happened last night, every detail, along with the hallway security footage, will be sent to every news outlet in this city within 2 hours. Sophia's pupils contracted violently, as if all the strength had been sucked out of her body. She staggered back a step. The bodyguards moved in at the perfect moment, taking her by the arms to escort her out. She kept looking back at me, her eyes filled with disbelief at my cruelty. At that moment, Victoria gently tightened her grip on my arm, the corner of her lips lifting in an elegant, triumphant curve. One wedding had ended. A new engagement party had just begun. A week later, the news about the Vance family broke. Vance Industries under federal investigation for multiple regulatory violations. Operations halted immediately. Leo Vance indicted for sexual assault. Case proceeds to trial. Multiple financial institutions terminate partnerships with Vance. Family empire collapses overnight. The headlines were stark and clinical, but they were an obituary for a dynasty. My phone screen went dark. My assistant stood quietly by my desk, awaiting orders. Clean it up. Yes, sir. Also, all financial support and technology licensing to the Reed Corporation were officially withdrawn at 9 a.m. this morning. Good. The call came half an hour later. Mr. Reed's name flashed on the screen. I let it ring until it went to voicemail. Immediately, a text from an unknown number came through. Harrison, I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong now. Please, give me one more chance. Let me see you just once. I deleted it without finishing and blocked the number. At the Reed family's mansion, the former heir of prosperity was replaced by the clamor of debt collectors. Their vehicles were parked outside, ensuring not a moment's peace within. Mr. Reed, his eyes bloodshot, pointed at Sophia, who was huddled on the sofa. It's all your fault, you curse. The Reed family finally managed to latch onto the Thorns, and you destroyed everything overnight. How can you sit there with a clear conscience? I told you to call Mr. Thorn. Did you call him? What did he say? Sophia flinched, her face ashen. Dad, he didn't answer. Why do we have to call him? Shut up. Her stepmother stormed over and slapped her across the face. You still have the nerve to ask? If you hadn't been so shameless before the wedding, running off to fool around with that worthless piece of trash from the Vance family, would Mr. Thorn be treating us this way? He used to be so good to you. He gave you whatever you wanted. How could you? I wasn't fooling around. It was an accident. I was drunk. Sophia tried to defend herself, her voice shaking. An accident? Mr. Reed sneered, grabbing her by the collar. The hotel security footage is crystal clear. You walked into that room on your own 2 feet. Do you think we're idiots? Or do you think Harrison Thorn is an idiot? How could you do something so stupid? Don't you dare tell anyone you're my daughter. Her stepmother added venomously. Exactly. When Mr. Thorn was around, he spoiled you so much you thought you were a real princess. Well, now he doesn't want you. Where are you now? Nothing. And you've dragged our whole family down with you. The only reason he was good to us was because of your status as the future Mrs. Thorn. Did you really think we enjoyed kissing up to you every single day? Sophia froze, as if she didn't understand. If Mr. Thorn hadn't paid $30 million to buy you out of that mess, and given our family so many contracts, who would have bothered putting up with your attitude? After your real mother died, if he hadn't said the word, I would have thrown you out on the street long ago. Did you really think we cared about you? Sophia's head snapped up, her eyes wide with shock. 30 million? Buy me out? What are you talking about? The stepmother scoffed. Might as well tell you now. Your father forced you to break it off with that poor boy Leo because he wanted to marry you off to some tycoon from South America. But then Harrison Thorn came to us, practically begging to throw money at us. I swear, if I had a daughter of my own, you never would have had the chance to marry into the Thorn family. Sophia stared at her father in utter disbelief. Mr. Reed waved his hand impatiently. What are you wasting time telling her all this for? The important thing now is to make her go beg Mr. Thorn. She needs to get on her knees and crawl if she has to. But she has to win him back. The financial news channel was on. On the screen, I was attending the opening of a tech summit with Victoria Sterling. We stood side by side, speaking in low tones, perfectly at ease. The host was excitedly announcing the deep strategic partnership that Thorn Industries and the Sterling Group were about to launch. Sophia stared blankly at my image on the screen. The man who had once shielded her from the world, who solved all her problems, was now a universe away. She listened to her father and stepmother's poisonous curses, watched the perfectly matched couple on the screen, and thought back to Leo's easy seduction and her own pathetic, half-hearted resistance. Regret washed over her like a tidal wave. Her legs gave out, and she collapsed onto the carpet, silent tears streaming down her face. Her stepmother kicked her in disgust. What are you crying for? You're crying now? It's too late. Get up and figure something out. Daniel Reed stared at the broken form of his daughter with cold eyes. Lock her in her room. If she can't come up with a way to get Harrison Thorn back, she doesn't eat. The door was slammed and locked. So, the luck she thought she had was just me shielding her from the storm. Her parents' love and indulgence were all bought and paid for with my money. And the great love she thought she had was too fragile to withstand one night of temptation and the allure of personal gain. She suddenly realized she had been so wrong, absurdly wrong. She struggled to the bed, grabbing the phone I had long since blocked. Over and over, she dialed the number she knew by heart. The only response was the cold, eternal busy signal. On the last day of the 6-month term, Victoria Sterling appeared in my office right on schedule. She placed a document on my desk and tapped it with her finger. It was the agreement we had signed half a year ago. Time's up, Mr. Thorn, she said, her tone all business, her expression unreadable. I looked at the agreement, a flicker of something unexpected, discomfort passing through me. These 6 months with her had been more compatible, more natural than I ever could have predicted. I found myself reluctant to let it end. Can't the contract be extended? Victoria raised an eyebrow, slightly surprised. Then her lips curved into a faint smile. She raised her index finger and wagged it gently in front of me. No can do, Mr. Thorn. The moment she spoke, she retrieved a slim, crimson leather portfolio from her handbag and placed it delicately on top of the termination agreement. A marriage proposal. I looked up at her. She met my gaze, her eyes stripped of their usual business-like sharpness, replaced with a subtle, captivating charm. Because I'd like to propose a more permanent arrangement, Mr. Thorne. Her voice was soft. How about we go down to City Hall and sign a contract protected by law? The office was silent for a long moment. I watched her as she watched me back, utterly serious. After a while, a low laugh escaped me. I reached out and took her hand, which she hadn't yet withdrawn. Her fingertips were cool against mine. I accept your terms, I said. This time, the meaning was entirely different. She smiled. Let's go, partner. Later, I heard snippets of news. The Vance family disappeared completely. The Reeves tried to flee the country with what little money they had left, but were caught at the airport by their creditors. Their fate was grim. As for Sophia, rumor had it that her desperate father had sold her to a notorious South American tycoon to pay off a fraction of his debts. She had not, in the end, escaped the fate he had always planned for her. But none of that had anything to do with me anymore. The car pulled up in front of City Hall. Victoria got out first. She turned back, looking at me, and held out her hand. Come on, Mr. Thorne. We're on a schedule. I have a board meeting this afternoon. I took her hand. All right,